All right. I was expecting something else, but we got it. It's all good. Take 12 of
something like that.
So first, let's start by welcoming everybody back to another fun-filled episode of Twisted Kid, a production of the MixTape Podcast. I am Jason Emmett.
I'm Casey Masterpiece.
And I'm Twisted Kid Matt.
Matt and I decided the other day that we had Gremlins in the production, and that's why everything was getting fucked up.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you guys remember, we have two Gremlins.
It's just a new batch of problems.
We told you guys on the last episode that we were going to be talking about Gremlins 2 on this episode, and that's what we're going to be talking about on this episode. First, I want to tell everybody Happy New Year. We are coming at you on New Year's Day, so I hope everybody had a fun and happy and safe Christmas and New Year's, and everybody's doing good out there. But let's go ahead and talk about Gremlins 2, the new batch. Gremlins came out in 1984, right? Mm-hmm. I think somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
This is the sequel. Came out in 1990. This one did.
It really struck while the iron was hot there, didn't it?
They really did.
Right.
Well, there's reasons for all of that. I don't know if you guys did reading and research on this. But
did a bit. Yeah.
The big thing on this one, we'll talk a little bit about why that was, but they flipped the script on this one. They actually went less horror, more comedic, and there's a whole reason for all of that. But let's talk a little bit about the production of the show, and then we're going to go through and give our thoughts and opinions like we always do. Once again, we have the magic of Rick Baker. He designed all the Gremlins. The film was, of course, directed by Joe Dante and features returning stars Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, Dick Miller, Jackie Joseph. Then added to the cast were John Glover, Robert Prosky, Haviland Morris, Robert Picardo, and Christopher Lee. Now, first of all, I want to say, what a fucking stroke of genius putting Christopher Lee in this movie, in the role they put him in. It was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, Christopher Lee is a badass in real life, but considering having him on the cast, fantastic. And there was a lot of really cool, character actors in this movie, including John Astin.
A small scene appearance in this. But even Robert Picardo, who's in the movie quite a bit, I think people don't realize how much shit Robert Picardo is in. And everybody refers back to, well, he's in Star Trek, yes. But he's in fucking everything, including he plays the cowboy in Inner Space, for shit's sake. Like, he's like the main, like...
Is that on the list, by the way?
It needs to be. I watched that recently.
Yeah, we need to add that.
Fucking wonderful movie. So the brainy gremlin in this movie was voiced by Tony Randall. And, of course, we have Howie Mandel back as Gizmo. The Gremlins, the first Gremlins movie was such a fucking financial success that you were saying that strike while the iron's hot. Well, they tried. They tried to get Joe Dante to make a sequel, but he declined. He said, in his opinion, Gremlins had a proper ending and he didn't need to make a sequel. And the original movie, he said, was actually really difficult for him to work on. So he didn't really want to do Gremlins 2. They end up kind of coming at him, though, and they keep coming. And finally, something that's totally unprecedented. They tried to do it without him. Things just weren't working out. They had a couple of different things planned, like Gremlins in space, even at one time, because God knows.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, you just throw them in space, right?
Yeah.
But I guess they finally come at him, and he's like, "I tell you what, you give me complete creative control," and they're like, "Fucking deal," right? And so he decides he wants to make a parody of Gremlins and a parody of sequels, which is exactly what he did with this movie. Yeah. It is, like I said, they had approached multiple directors. They considered, at one time they wanted to put him in Las Vegas, which might be kind of fun too. but it just didn't work. They also offered him
Just
not only creative control,
Gambling gremlins.
that would you dude. I mean,
That sounds funny. And Elvis Gremlin, it's like,
Oh my god.
I mean, you could
Yeah.
totally see them
Obviously,
like,
like stripper gremlins and
oh
you
yeah.
know,
I mean, they
yeah.
kind of
just
know,
like
they
a,
kinda did it with
a
this
bum
one.
gremlin on. Yeah, true. There's like a bum gremlin sitting on the side of the road.
We
just
already
after
had in the-
losing all of his money,
in the first movie. We already had a flasher gremlin, so you
True.
know.
Yeah.
So
which
not
you
only
can buy. You can buy the flasher
The
gremlin
Flasher
as a
Gremlin.
NECA figure now. Yep.
not only did they give him complete creative control, they tripled his budget from the original movie. So I mean, it was just one of those things where he's like, "All right, cool, we're gonna do it." And I want to, we definitely, I guess we'll give a real quick. If you've never seen Gremlins, you need to. First of all, it holds up. It is way more horror than this film. It is essentially a horror film, just not like over the top horror film, but it's scary in parts, like legitimately.
Yeah.
So Billy Peltzer, who's played by Zach Galligan, his dad is an inventor and a salesman or whatever, and he's in New York, and he goes in this little shop in Chinatown, and this guy has a little creature called a mogwai, and he tries to buy it off of him, and the guy's like, nope. So his nephew sells it to him instead because he's like, we need the money.
Yeah.
And he gives him the 3 rules of Gremlins, right? There's 3 rules, which when you go back and think about the 3 rules of Gremlins, it's really fucking hard not to break those damn. One of them's easy. Don't fucking no bright lights and sunlight will kill them. All right, cool. And so what's the other 2? All right, listen, no water. What? No water? And then you start getting into the logistics of it. Like, wait. Can he have Kool-Aid?
Yeah. What about milk?
Yeah. Milk. Is it just liquid?
What level of moisture are we talking about here?
Can he have soup? Or stew?
Could you enjoy a nice Cincinnati chili?
Think about all the times in your life you've walked into
only before midnight.
You've walked into a kitchen or a bathroom and stepped in just a little bit of water from the sink or whatever. Is that gonna fuck him up?
Or pee?
Yeah.
What happens if like the dog pees on him?
The next one is the rule of all rules: never feed them after midnight. And this one he's even played with this in this movie. I think somebody says, "What if they get something stuck in their teeth?"
And it gets dislodged at 12:01.
Which I think.
And what if they start eating at 8:00 a.m. and that's technically after midnight? So,
right, when does that rule expire?
They even go over the time zones.
Is it like 12 to 12:30? Like everything is technically after midnight if you think about it. So anyway, so the rules are what they are because if you get them wet, they multiply, but none of them are. They're not Gizmo. They always have a bad turn to them. If you feed them after midnight, they go into these cocoons and come out not mogwais, but these little green creatures.
Yeah.
The only reason these movies are called Gremlins, for those who don't know, were the name of these little creatures back in World War II that they said would climb into planes and like mess with technical shit, and they called them Gremlins. And it's Mr. Futterman who coins them Gremlins in the first movie, if you recall.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So who is back in this movie, even though clearly he and his wife
miraculously after being fucking ran over by a bulldozer.
We never see that it was a snowplow.
Snowplow.
It's a snowplow, I think, but
yeah,
we never actually see it. But yes, clearly.
He
but
was
it doesn't matter.
Severely injured off screen and miraculously healed in the same off screen moments.
It is, but he's great in this movie, and this movie is a parody, and they do talk about it that he suffered basically PTSD because of this fucking gremlin attack.
Yeah. Plus, the guy was already a war hero, so
yes, that's true.
Yeah.
So,
got doubled down on that PTSD. Like, yeah, you see the horrors of war, now you got to fucking deal with gremlins too. So, the new batch.
But he comes in this one, he's pissed off, man. He's like, I'm not letting them fuck with me again. We're gonna get them. So it's great. One of the things that's great about this movie, like I said, he made a satire of sequels and the Gremlins movie in general. But he also, one of the things they did. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Leonard Maltin did not give the first Gremlins a positive review, and they like get Leonard Maltin. So there's 2 versions of this, and there's the theatrical version, and then there was the home version. So in the theatrical version, we get a few things that were changed, but at one point, Leonard Maltin actually holds up a copy of the original Gremlins movie, and he's denouncing it, and then he gets attacked by gremlins in this, which is so great, and I love that he did that. So in the first movie, we have Billy, and obviously the gremlins, Mogwai gets wet, gremlins become gremlins, they terrorize and basically destroy the whole town of Kings Falls, and Billy and his girlfriend, played by Phoebe Cates, Kate, they stop them into the movie. So in this one, Billy and Kate are now living in New York and working in this huge building called Clamp. The man is this obviously a play on Trump? Like
100%.
Yeah, if Trump was a nice, good person, I think it would
Or
be this
at
guy.
least had, or at the very least had a character arc where he became a good person.
Yeah.
Clamp is ever a bad person. He's kind of clueless,
Right.
and that's
He's
John
got
Glover.
that up his own ass syndrome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Where you're like
very
so
much.
rich and self-involved that you just are
No
oblivious
idea.
to what's going on around you.
100%. That is his
Yeah.
character, right? But the name Clamp is obviously a play
Yes.
on Trump, right?
Yeah,
And
I think it's even in the same font in the movie.
it probably. Well, I love
Yeah.
that it's got the C clamping over the rest of it.
And crushing the earth. It's
Yes,
crushing your head. Yeah,
yes.
it's doing that to the whole world.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, obviously, there's so much satire in this film. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that when you go in the building, do you guys like the building voice that tells everybody everything is like fantastic, especially when he's like, "You're in the men's room."
Yeah.
Like, it's so
Don't forget to wash your hands.
the washer. It's so good.
Yeah.
So
By the way, the little things that are just inserted throughout this movie, Easter egg wise,
in the
are
background and everything,
insane.
and they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
you could watch this movie 4 times in a row and never see the same thing in the background
yes.
each time.
Right.
The automatic door, for example, that doesn't work. If you pay attention throughout the movie, you keep seeing people get like stuck in that door and shit. It's fantastic. It's so wonderful. And I love that it's like, the automatic door is not working at this time. And you look over, there's a lady like caught it and shit. It's so good. So now Billy and Kate work at this big building, and this building apparently has everything. And it's an office building, it's a mall, it's a TV studio, it's a genetics lab. And this is again part of the parody. He's saying again, these giant corporations that do a little bit of everything. So they work in the building. Billy, as far as I can tell, works for like a promotions department or marketing, but he's doing design stuff for them. And then Kate is a tour guide through the building. And they make him wear these god awful hats with a replica of the building on top of it. It's crazy. So this is where we have to suspend our disbelief like a lot, right? Obviously. Yeah. So they're in New York now, and we know that Gizmo is back in New York too, because he goes back home in the end of the original. So we know that the Clamp people are trying to buy what's his name? Mr. Wang? Is it Wang?
Yeah, it's Wang or Wing.
They're trying to buy his shop because they want to build a very racist.
Yeah.
Very
extremely.
Because I think
a little problematic.
Yeah.
I think it's their slogan is something like they want to build like it
where we can orient you in business.
Yeah.
It's like,
business. I
mean, no.
It goes right back to the clueless. Like I don't think it's meant to be. He's just clueless. Right?
Yeah, there's no. I don't think there's any malice in it. It's just like,
either.
Hey, this is a word for Asian areas. Is the Orient?
I think you're supposed to roll your eyes like, this guy is so fucking out of. He thinks he's being like inclusive and really.
This is so clever.
First of all, and I don't want to jump too far. There are some there's another Asian guy in this that
he was like all over the place back in the 80s.
Yeah, it's the same guy that played Long Duck Dong in 16 Candles, which Connie was the one who pointed that one out to me. I was like, is it him? Is it really him? And it's like, yeah.
But I mean, they bring him in as a tourist, and of course he's taking pictures of everything and has the camera all the time. And I mean, they definitely play into that. So anyway, what we find out is Clamp is trying to buy this building, and Mr. Wing, I think it is Wing now that you said it. But anyway, he turns him down. But they're like, what should we do about it? And they're like, nothing. I mean, he's gonna die soon. You could tell. Listen to that cough. And it's like 6 weeks later, and the guy's gone.
Yeah,
right.
So they demolish the place. Well, of course, Gizmo gets out and he's running through the streets. And one of the guys from the genetics lab, who just happens to be there looking for weird shit, finds him, right? Yeah. Are we supposed to think that dude's a clone? By the way, is he a clone or a twin? Did you guys ever figure that out?
I was thinking
twin,
he's supposed to be a
clone. Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be kind of a clone, or maybe we don't know. Anyway, he's got a twin brother or a clone.
I'm looking this guy's name up because it's bugging me now. Mr. Wing. It's Mr. Wing.
Okay. I thought when you said it, that sounded right.
Yeah.
Anyway, they take Gizmo back to the building as well. and they take him to the genetics lab where everything's going to transpire. Really the plot starts getting a little looser there. Billy finds him, and I actually like the way Billy
move the new movie to New York and make it crazier.
Pretty
Screenplay written. There you go.
How do we get Billy back into it? Well, let's just make him work in the same building. Well, how do we get Gizmo in the building? Genetics lab.
Yeah, he just shows up.
So you mentioned John Astin. So I like the way Billy finds Gizmo in the building. We have this real like downplayed scene where a maintenance guy goes into the genetics lab, and then when he comes out, he hears Gizmo singing. And he's walking around whistling what Gizmo is singing. And Billy's like, hey, wait, where did you hear that song? And he's like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's up on. And so that's Billy goes and like breaks him out. Right.
Yeah.
But he has to hide him in his office drawer. And then he has to leave because his boss is a creep. And she's going to make very unwarranted sexual advances in the Canadian restaurant with a giant chocolate mousse.
She would be kind of problematic.
Table for two, eh?
Like, wow.
There was so many little like puns in this movie that just had me cracking up. Like I completely forgot how much I love this movie.
Chocolate mousse, and he like gives him antler. It's a giant chocolate mousse head, like moose head made out of chocolate is what we. And she totally gives him a foot job in the middle of the restaurant, or tries to. And she gives him a kiss, and he leaves. Now, he sends Kate to go get Gizmo out of the drawer, and this is where everything kind of falls apart.
It's also where Connie started asking all the questions that I think the entire audience had. Why didn't you just, like, take him home real quick and come back?
Or shoot him in the back of the head?
Ooh, Billy? Billy couldn't.
No, I meant Gizmo. Why are you trying to kill Gizmo, Kevin? What the hell is that?
Because he's a freaking... Yes! He's a freaking national hazard.
There is a whole group of people out there that agree that
you guys take that motherfucker down. Yes.
How many people, we don't know, but how many people died in both of these movies that we never see it?
Right.
I believe okay, so I mentioned to Jay before we recorded this that when you're done watching this video right here, watch Gremlins 2. And then go over and watch the kill count episode done by Dead Meat, where they actually go through and count not only the human deaths,
right?
Yeah, they did a Gremlin. Mm-hmm. They've done both.
Well, yeah, but you just watched the Gremlins 2 one.
I just watched the Gremlins 1 episode, and in
how
that
many how many people do they count died?
It's
in
like
Gremlins?
3.
No,
3 humans, and then Billy kills all the gremlins.
They wreak havoc on that whole fucking town, I promise.
Right.
The old lady and
it's on screen.
On screen, that's a different story, but those gremlins would have like taken out the entire town and the entire building. They got it. Gizmo needs to die.
So how many people do we know for a fact died in the second one?
Kevin, are you a make Kingston Falls great again kind of guy?
You know,
we all love Gizmo.
You support
my KFGA hat is somewhere around here.
He is adorable. We love Gizmo, right? But you get a drop of water on this guy, and fucking people are dying because the Mogwais that come out of him, all they want to do is become gremlins and terrorize them.
Yeah,
they do not give a shit. And
so, are we to understand that Gizmo is like, not only is he supposed to be the cute Mogwai, but he's like the only good Mogwai? Because it seems like anything that comes from him is just straight up evil.
Yes.
Which makes which kind of reinforces my idea of just killing Gizmo.
Just fucking kill Gizmo.
Chip. You know, just
so
one and done.
Or also, like, let's think about this.
We need teachers.
Billy is facilitating
Gizmo. Gizmo genocide.
That's the poll we're gonna put up
Mogwai
on this post. All
Nice. Nice.
Come on, oh my god.
So Mogwai must die.
Euthanize Gizmo. Jeez.
So you mentioned John Astin. This is his little cameo scene, man. He's fixing the water fountain, and it ends up accidentally rolling off a thing and dropping onto Gizmo.
On the
And
drawing board.
And
actually, Gizmo, when he sees him, says Gomez.
Yeah, does he?
Yeah, he calls him by name. He goes, Gomez. And
so this is where we get the scene of, water pours on his back, and this is where we get the scene of the gremlins, the additional Mogwais popping off his back, and we get to see. This is when we get introduced to our new Mogwais.
This guy right here.
So in every,
and it looks painful for Gizmo too.
Oh yeah,
it does.
Horribly painful for Gizmo. I think we get 5, right? There's 5, I think, that come from him, if I'm not mistaken. In this one,
it's as they're flying out.
In the first one, it's Stripe, and this one, Mohawk is considered your bad guy, but he's not nearly as bad as Stripe was. And then we have Daffy. That's Daffy right there, and we get more down. Rambo.
A lot of inspiration there.
So yes, so Kate comes back to get Gizmo, but she does not find Gizmo, which is funny because she should have had a lot of experience with Gizmo in the first movie.
Yeah.
So how she doesn't realize this fucking weird gremlin is not Gizmo?
Yeah, it's like
she finds
they
Daffy,
don't even look the same.
and Daffy's wreaking some havoc all over the place when she finds him. But she finds him, and that's who she ends up taking home. Like, he's squirting fucking paint on everything, and he's just a little hoodlum. But she takes Daffy home instead of Gizmo. They
resemble. There's a slight resemblance, but like,
so effed up. Maybe
he's like Gizmo's inbred cousin or something.
Yeah. If his eyes were,
aren't they all kind of the inbred cousins once you think about it?
Well, I mean, they multiply by like mitosis or something.
Do you think? And
I mean, that's definitely Gizmo. He looks just the same.
Yeah,
nothing different there.
They kind of dumb Kate down in this one a little bit, which kind of irritates me a little, but it's also it's a really funny scene because of it. So she takes him home instead, and we also learned that the Futtermans are going to come visit from Kingston Falls, which is weird that an old couple would come visit. I think they're just coming to New York, and they're going to spend. Well, they were going to stay at their apartment.
Yeah. I mean,
weird.
It's a place to stay.
Billy gets back from the restaurant and is so like non-flustered. Like when she says, he's like, "Oh, that's not Gizmo." It's almost like, oh, he should have been like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, like immediately, like, shut this shit down, find them all. Like,
I should have killed that motherfucker, years ago.
I should have thrown him into the fountain when it was on, when it was electrocuted, and let him melt too.
But he doesn't. I mean, he's.
I'm starting to come around to your side, Kevin. Like,
thank you.
Yeah, you're starting to make me a believer in Mogwai genocide.
He's a little worried, but he's not nearly. He knows what's going to happen. Yeah, he should freak the fuck out, but he doesn't. But they got to kick the Futtermans out. So apparently, Clamp Towers is open 24/7, and like it's weird because it's like after midnight, but everybody's hanging. Like families are hanging out. Like it's nothing.
It's like a mall, like when malls used to be cool. Sort of mall.
So I kind of look at it as like the Google campus. Is what it seems to be like.
Kind of, but there's like a mom there with her kid, right? Because they go to the ice cream stand. So the Mogwais are running through just eating whatever, right? I do want to point out that the kid that works at the frozen yogurt booth is the kid from the movie Explorers. So yeah, they
directed by Joe Dante.
That's not shocking then. Yeah, makes total sense. So the Gremlins then go hide. I'm sorry, the Mogwais go hide and they cocoon down in the basement. Billy knows that they're going to try to get near the water source and tries to stop them, but the building security grabs him right there, like this ain't happening. And as he's trying to tell them what to look out for, this is when things go nuts, right? So now we've got Gremlins all over the damn building. One of the fun things about this movie is the fact that there is a genetics lab, which allows us to have multiple forms of Gremlins. The Gremlins go into the genetics lab and they start taking stuff and drinking stuff, and one gets vegetables grown on his face. It's so weird. And then we get a couple others. So one of the most popular ones in this movie is Brainy Gremlin.
That was my favorite one.
Brainy Gremlin or the girl?
I don't know. That green
I cut to the wrong scene there.
Yeah, that's fine. But the female Gremlin, what's her name? Lola, I think.
Greta
Gremlin. Yeah, that's it. That's creepy. We would definitely about the implications in Robert Picardo and Greta Gremlin.
And he was okay with it towards the end. So
I mean, yeah, there's some I mean, it's bestiality, right? And he kind of accepts it. Like, all right, it's cool. Also, it's freaky because that means not all the gremlins died, because that's after.
Yeah.
That is the final shot of the movie. So she's still alive. Greta is still alive.
Yeah.
We get the cool bat gremlin, and then they give it sunscreen.
My favorite one. Yeah.
Flies out into New York City. Actually, Mr. Futterman knocks it into concrete, and then it flies up on the church tower and becomes a fucking gargoyle.
Yeah, it took a pretty. I felt bad for Mr. Futterman because he took a pretty nasty scar across the face.
Yeah, he got pissed. He's like, we got to fuck some stuff up.
Yeah.
Now I want to see like a post-apocalyptic Mr. Futterman fighting gremlins, and
that's part of the Greatest Generation, there, sir.
New York hellscape. Yeah.
Right.
Just like shirt ripped up and just like
I want to see
sort of an old man Logan sort of thing going on.
Yeah. That'd be.
So I want to see
really cool.
I want to see like fucking zombie apocalypse movie with fucking gremlins and people fighting them, and I think that'd be great.
And that's again like going back to Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Like you expect, like now that they know how to deal with them, just go through and start wiping them out.
Mm-hmm.
Like do that with the gremlins too.
Well, it's not, but you can't. I mean, the problem is they multiply so fucking. Oh, and we didn't mention
also what happens. Does gremlin blood equal liquid that could also?
I don't think so.
Create more.
Well, what happens if a gremlin pees on itself? Does
I think it has to be specifically water.
Yeah,
like nothing else. But if a gremlin gets wet, it doesn't produce mogwais. It produces gremlins, which these fuckers set off like the fucking fire extinguishers through the building, and they are. Like now there's like
fucking thousands of gremlins.
But it's nighttime, and they come up with this plan, right? We need to fool them into thinking it's nighttime, or that it's nighttime when it actually turns daytime, and then we're going to get them all in the lobby. That's how we're going to fucking kill them, right? We're going to fool them and get them with the day, because they're going to want to go outside, and they're not going to go outside in the daytime. But as soon as they're able to, they're going to wreak havoc on this whole city. And once they get out, you're not going to be able to stop them. Like, how would you ever and they kill him separate? So it's the same thing. If you can't contain them all in one area, you're fucked, man. They get out, it's over. So they know this. Billy is still looking for Gizmo. Nobody can find him. What ends up happening, Kate finds Billy's boss, and she is caught in spider webs at this point. And we have this giant spider gremlin, and all the webs start catching on fire.
Yeah. Which apparently the webbing is flammable too. So
yeah, I don't think spider web is flammable. I think it actually dissolves pretty quick in flame, but I have no real experience in that, but maybe. Okay, so we had mentioned that the theatrical version and the home version were slightly different. The theatrical version, we got a clip showing what happens in the theatrical version. There's a scene in the movie where the movie cuts out, and the gremlins start doing like shadow puppets on the wall or on the screen. And this is the one I remember because I saw it at the theater. And what ends up happening is Hulk Hogan stands up and he yells. It's so stupid and cheesy. And he yells at the gremlins to put the movie back on, and they put the movie back on. And everything's fine, and we get back into the movie itself. In the home version, it is obviously they can't do a movie theater version because you're not at the theater. The tape, I think they stopped the tape, and in that one, it's actually it cuts to John Wayne, and they have a gunfight with John Wayne. And I think it's scenes taken out of the movie Chisholm, which I don't want to talk about why it must be called Chisholm. So these are the kind of things this movie does, this very tongue-in-cheek kind of goofy-ass shit.
This movie was very had a fourth wall vibe.
Well, major. Yeah. And they break it all the time, all throughout the movie. Yeah, 100%. We didn't mention the electrical gremlin. We probably need to, because he's going to become they electrify fucking gremlin in this. Christopher Lee is fucking he's a scumbag in this. Like, he's at one point he's like, we're going to cut him open to see what makes him. Well, like, he's fucking straight up just gonna slice open Gizmo when they're done with him, right? They're just gonna cut him open to look at his bones.
I'm okay with that. I approve.
Well, listen, I said kill him. I don't approve of torture.
We need to study what makes these things tick.
So we can prevent it.
Or we take out the only one.
Creating a vaccine for for gremlins, essentially.
Thank you.
Like
a gremlin anti-venom, if you will.
What if a gremlin cuts you or bites you? You know,
Yeah. Then you got gremlin rabies.
Right.
Do we ever see the death of Christopher Lee in this? Do we see anything happen to him? He gets electrocuted, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I think so.
The electric gremlin electrocutes him, I'm pretty sure.
Sounds like a dance move, by the way. The electric
gremlin.
See all these little tiny gremlins do the electric slide. It'll be adorable.
I mean, they almost did, really.
Yeah, we see a little dance scene.
Yeah.
Wrong clip. Play the damn clip right. Oh my god! Right there.
Well, this is the New York scene.
Crazy
so
dance scene. Yeah.
We have Brainy Gremlin gets them all together to sing this stirring rendition of "Start Spreading the News," and then it goes into this weird fucking Greta Gremlin, so weird scene where they do all the closing the panels that make her face, and then she comes out of the center of it. It's so.
Oh yeah.
So since she's the only female gremlin,
she's like,
I love that scene.
That is so funny.
And kills him. Oh yeah, they don't have a problem. Like it's like Brainy Gremlin like just shoots one. He's like, was that civilized? No, clearly not. It's just like they don't care. They'll kill each other all the time if it's for comedy.
Okay, this scene right here, all that bright light, wouldn't that kill a bunch of them?
Probably. I mean, yeah, in theory,
dude. I mean, you know. You have to suspend your disbelief. That would be great because if that light goes by, you just hear them all screaming. What? But does Bright? The thing is, it's hilarious that he takes a picture and kills one, right? But I thought only sunlight killed him.
Look, they're just
bright light hurts him. I thought sunlight killed him. I know it's so good.
Yeah.
So we were going through and we were mentioning all of them. Brainy Gremlin's the one who gets this idea. He figures out, he figures out like sunblock on the one. So like they're starting to figure it out. They're gonna he's gonna get him out of here. So they're doing this whole musical number. What they figure out is they've trapped the electric gremlin in the phone line upstairs. Billy tells Futterman like spray them, hose them down. And he's like, "Are you sure about this?" He's like, "Just do it." And then he releases the electrical gremlin from the phone line. And electrical gremlin comes down where they are all gathered. So they've put this big tarp up, right? That's supposed to look like nighttime, and they're going to get them all in the main lobby, and they're going to drop the tarp. But as luck would have it, it's like a storm rolls through and blocks the sun, right? And they're like, "Oh shit, we're in trouble." So Billy figures out we're just going to kill them all, right? So again, Mr. Futterman starts spraying them. I think we have a clip of this too, Matt. Futterman starts spraying them, and he releases the electricity. It's not the right clip, but that's okay.
I don't think we have that specific clip.
Oh, did it not come through? There should have been a clip of him actually spraying them and the electrical shooting out of the phone. But this is a clip I wanted to show him.
No, yeah, this is it.
I wanted to show
down right now
what the gremlins look like dying.
Yeah,
all right, here we go.
There it goes. This is the clip. Yeah. Oh, so he was spraying them. We got to see them popping out of their backs, and now we get to see the electricity going through and killing these gremlins. And I love the way they're acting. There's even like a breakdancing one, the one that looks like the Wicked Witch screaming, "I'm melting."
It's for kids.
Yes. Well,
sort of
kids movie, but I'm like, is it? There's
a lot of Fuzz Bucket for adults.
Yeah, there you go. There's the I'm melting one. We got to see the difference between that. And so it works. What we do learn, though, is that Greta Gremlin made it. She does not die. Because we get that whole creepy bestiality ending that we talked so much about. So that's a real quick breakdown of the movie itself. This was Kev's pick. I want you guys. So I'll go first on this. We'll close out with Kevin's thoughts since he picked it. But I remember going to the theater and seeing this in high school and just fucking loving this movie. Like I was like, this is the best. I laughed so hard. There is one particular clip at the end of this where John Glover says, and it made me laugh till I was doubled over. He says, "I picture like little stuffed animals with suction cups looking out people's car windows." And that was it for me because that existed previously. And so it's like, all this guy sees is marketing potential with these little
merchandising.
Well, there was a lot of that, especially for
1984, getting like a little like kids meal from Hardee's, and had like a Gremlins, I want to say little 45 let's see, disc, yeah, album, yeah.
I have the
And
full set actually.
with
oh,
the
really?
with
Yeah.
the flip through books and stuff.
Just got it a
Yes.
couple years ago.
Yeah, those things are fantastic. Yes, I remember those. Really, I love those. I have the Tron one, of course I do. Yeah, there was merchant. And what's funny, dude, you brought that up from the '84 one, and again, that was one of the 2 movies that brought the PG-13 rating into existence.
2 before I saw Gremlins 1 because it was so terrifying. I didn't see Gremlins 1 until maybe in high school. Yeah, it was just scared the shit out of me.
Gremlins in around '86. I was not allowed to go to the theater and see it because I wasn't even 10 years old yet. And then I remember being at my aunt and uncle's house, and my parents were playing cards or something downstairs, and they had cable and a little TV, and Gremlins came on, and my sister and I sat there and watched it. And I loved it. And then this one I saw, like I said, in the theater when it came out. But you're right. They did target market. I had a Mogwai when I was a kid. Like, they target marketed kids, but this the first Gremlins and Temple of Doom, those were the 2 movies that made the MPAA decide to create a PG-13. Yeah, so it's weird that they market towards kids. This one is definitely more marketable towards kids because it's more of a silly movie. It's not really a horror film at all. But I loved it. I still love it. It's very tongue in cheek. Oh, I forgot to mention the scene, but like in the first movie, we get Kate telling this very serious story about how her dad fell down the chimney trying to surprise him on Christmas and died. And then in this one, she does the same thing again, only this one, it's President's Day, and there's a Abe Lincoln flasher in the park. It's like, oh, they try to do it with that same gusto, and of course you're dying laughing at the whole thing, and they're all looking at her like, what the hell's wrong with this girl? Love this movie. Highly recommend it to everybody. Matt, what are your thoughts on Gremlins 2?
Well, I have a lot of Gremlins memorabilia. A lot of... Hey, thank you. I was wondering if Jay even noticed it. Yeah. Take it off.
I'll take it off.
You didn't? Wait, hang on. Okay, so this entire time, you have not seen me wearing a mask.
No, I just thought that was your face.
Fuck you, first off. But yeah, like that just kind of demonstrates, merchandising, merchandising.
There you go.
That's just 2 of them that I have in this house. We have Gremlins t-shirts. My nephew, as we've discussed in the past, this is a movie that he absolutely loves. We actually talked to him last night about it, in fact. Asking him if he'd seen Gremlins 2 specifically, but he's a huge Gremlins 1 fan. And he didn't like the sequel as much as he likes the first one, but it's still, just more Gremlins. But yeah, it's, Connie has a custom pink Mogwai that she has up there and up in her room, and her pink room.
You get that here?
No, she ordered it from a guy in Kansas City.
Oh,
actually.
I was thinking of the Funko Pop
Yeah,
stuff.
no, she got the Greta Funko Pop.
Yeah.
Up in Cincinnati, and
Well,
we
it's
got
safe
the
to say
Greta
that
NECA figure. Yeah, we collect all kinds of stuff. And
safe to say that Matt is a fan.
Yeah.
What
yeah. And like I said in the Killer Clowns episode, I was like, shit, well, now I got to get a gremlin to put in the background of this. I don't have a gremlin, but I've seen
he thought about buying
full-size
one while he was here. You almost bought. You guys
I did. I considered it. I considered a full-size gremlin.
So
I've
Kev,
considered it several times.
This was your pick.
Well, I mean, this one, I guess, was sort of like an introduction to scary movies for me, or horror movies, even though this wasn't really a horror movie. It's a nice ease your way into it.
Yeah. Horror adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got elements of it.
But to be fair, I think think compared to the first Gremlins, I actually like Gremlins 1 more, but yeah.
I mean, it's much, but I agree with that. But they're totally different movies. It's bizarre. They're completely different.
They're not even close to the same.
So
like the tone is entirely different from one movie to the next, and I mean, like characters carry over, the plot carries over. I mean, it's just literally the only thing that seems to really change is the genetics lab making different gremlins, which shout out to Key and Peele for that amazing sketch about Gremlins 2.
Yes.
And the tagline at the end, every bit of this is actually in the movie. And like they pretty much didn't really change anything about it. It's
no. He's talking about
let's do more Gremlins.
Ian Field doing if you guys haven't seen doing the pitch meeting for Gremlins. Yeah. It is so good. If you guys have not seen that skit, you need to see it. It's wonderful.
I need to check that out now.
Yes.
We're going to get ready to close this thing up. We're going to try to start making these a little tighter. We're working on it. Before we do, Matt, why don't you go ahead and kick over that clip? We have some friends of the show and stuff like that we would like you guys to check out.
Yeah.
All of this is available on our website because we have our website and we have all our social medias. You probably saw all those social medias running alongside the screen over to the right. Please check us out. Our website is themixtapepod.com, and all of our friends of the show are on there and links to get to their websites. And we highly recommend you check all these guys out. Obviously, we do have a sponsor as well.
Listening to the MixTape Podcast makes you a total badass. Now you know. And knowing is half the battle.
The other thing we would like to ask you guys to do is please subscribe to the show and click the little bell down there. You can subscribe and you'll get all the new episodes. And we are working on a bunch. We got some really cool stuff coming up, including some of the little mini twisted on a very twisted episode, as I've been calling them, where we go back and watch those very special episodes of sitcoms from the 80s and 90s. The next one we're going to be doing is The Bicycle Man, the 2-part episode from Different Strokes. It is available on Prime Video if you guys want to go check that out before we do that episode. So we do ask, please subscribe down below and please go check out the podcast and subscribe to that. We would really appreciate it. We are the MixTape Podcast. We talk mostly 80s and 90s, but a little bit of everything. We have some killer interviews on there. So please go check that out.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up a couple more things before we let it go. So it's been talked for a long time about Gremlins 3. Asked about a part 3 back in December of 2016. Interview with Bleeding Cool. Galligan said that Chris Columbus had been aggressively working on Gremlins 3, which had writer Carl Ellsworth on board. And then in a 2017 interview with Chris Columbus, he discussed a twisted and dark script, which explores the idea that has been made by many fans, including Kevin, is that if the Gremlins all come from Gizmo getting wet and feeding the Mogwai offspring Midnight, then why do we not eliminate him? And then in November 2020, Columbus stated that CGI, he came out and said, we're not going to use any CGI on the new film, which is weird because there was no new film, that he's going to keep going with the traditional animatronics. And that we do know now that it is in the works. And he stated that Gizmo should die once again. And now we should have later this year a series coming out on HBO, an animated series. But then recently it was announced that Gremlins 3 is officially in the works. And I like the fact that they're saying they're going to go
while the iron's hot.
Real dark with it. Well, you mentioned Key and Peele, and then they had that video or that commercial on the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and it sparked
Doritos
a lot
or something.
Yeah.
Gremlin Mania is back again.
I'm 100% on board with it. Like a new
Kevin's
film.
like,
yeah.
I am. I'm on board with the new film. I think it'd be fun, and if they go back to and that they're not going to use CGI. I don't mind when a movie uses CGI to complement a scene, but when it's just like practical is always going to be better. I get it, and I understand it's cheaper, and sometimes making a practical liquid metal man is hard, but use the two to complement each other. I think it works better. So
it's not all going to be Jurassic Park.
No,
sometimes you're going to get a Sharknado.
Yes. So that's Gremlins 2, man. If you guys haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a really fun watch. I mean, it's very tongue in cheek and it doesn't take itself serious at all. And we still love it. We love it. now I am officially next on the choice block, right? Like
Now you are.
Yeah.
I am now. It wasn't me being mean. I get side. There was a lot of movies in there.
Alright.
So the next one we're picking is a movie I've actually never seen. So to say it made me a Twisted Kid isn't. I've seen some of the series. I've never seen this one. Came out of nowhere. We should have watched it before Christmas, but we didn't. But it was because of Christmas that it started popping up. We are going to be watching Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker, which just looks like the dumbest, funnest shit of
Now,
all.
do we need to have watched Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 through 4?
I don't think so. I've seen the first
For
3.
fans of the series, part 2 is literally like 45 minutes worth of that film is just clips of part 1.
Yeah.
So that right there alone could be a Twisted Kid, but part 5 we have to definitely put on this list.
Yeah.
Starring
Right.
Mickey Rooney.
We're gonna be watching that. I've seen clips of it over the years, and I'm like, I need to watch this film, and then because it just looks just goofy. I mean, Killer Toys is always one of my I went back and forth because the movie that is on our list also was Demonic Toys. I really went back and forth, and I decided, no, I want to watch this movie because I've never seen it. I do believe it is available on Tubi. I'm pretty sure, so you guys can check it out on Tubi.
Okay.
If you want to watch it along with us and things like that. We mentioned the podcast. We are the MixTape Podcast. You can check us out anywhere you can find podcasts. Please go listen to the show and support the show. And please subscribe down below to this show. We would really appreciate that. We got a whole list of movies. I pulled that clip, but the audio didn't pull, so I got to re-pull it for you.
Man.
He actually doesn't say it as creepy as we've turned it into. He just goes, down there. But we're all like, down there. That's going to be a rewatch because Kevin's never seen that movie.
We have to do that one next. That, in fact, you know what? I will jump in and say that's my next pick.
Oh God, I would flip it to mine. That means I got to watch it again. I watched it so many times as a kid, but yeah, we'll let it be Matt's next pick because
we'll let Connie go over to her mom's house or something.
She watched it last time, and there's a character in it. Connie.
I'm done. I'm not doing this again.
Again,
it might end my relationship.
Please go check it. Will you're gonna scare her off?
Yeah,
which is hard to believe since you haven't yet, but you still might.
It still blows my mind. I don't know how it's happened.
Please check out the podcast. Please subscribe to the. No, I didn't say anything. Damn it.
Yep.
Stroke. I did not stroke. I said plot.
I would consider that a stroke, sir.
I hate you guys. I almost made it out.
I was just like, it didn't even happen. Oh, wait.
Check out all of our social media. Again, all the stuff you see running over there to the side, or now it's up on the screen. That'll work too. That's a really good way to get it. Please go over and check that out. Come join us on Facebook and things like that. That's it. I think that is it for this episode. We will be back soon with, like I said, we'll have another very twisted episode where we will be talking about Bicycle Man. Go check that out. And go check out Gremlins 2. We love it. It's a wonderful, 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 wonderful movie.
Do we need to hit it again?
Fuck you. No, I cleaned that one up. I hate you guys. Guys, we always say on the mixtape to remember to always stay awesome, and do always stay awesome. You guys are awesome. We appreciate all of you, but we close this one out a little bit different. Matt, I'm going to hand the reins over to you. You can close this sucker off, and I'll talk to you guys when I talk to you guys.
Hey guys, just remember to always stay awesome, and just like us, you too are a Twisted Kid. And cut.
Thank you so much for watching. Check us out on Facebook at Tapeworms, fans of the MixTape Podcast. We are on Twitter, Mastodon, and Instagram. Please subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Remember, just like these morons, you too are a Twisted Kid.